Okay, welcome. I'm going to share my screen here and we're going to get started. Okay, and this is what I like to call, this is a healthy living revolution. I love being a mom on a mission to really help people make healthy living simple. And hopefully this is going to click. Yeah, there we go. Because, it's interesting because I'm 40 and when I was growing up, I feel like, my childhood is vastly different than my kids' childhoods, and my son is 13 now. And I think back to when I was 13 and I lived outside. We actually had a family garden. So I remember just like pulling carrots out of the ground and brushing the dirt off and eating the carrots. And I had, basically from sunup to sundown, I was outside playing with either neighbors or just by myself. And I don't remember TV very much. I wasn't inside very much at all. And I laugh that I used to actually literally drink out of the garden hose to get my water. And that was before I realized there was lead in it. And I have so many fond memories of being outside in nature. And, because I think it was just a little bit more simple time when I was growing up. I didn't have any sleep issues. No one I knew had sleep issues. My parents didn't have sleep issues. We lived in a rural area, and so they got a lot of physical activity as well. And today it's very different. Certainly we ate at McDonald's from time to time, when we went into town and things like that. But I feel like fast food comes out after all of the sporting events my kids have been involved in. It's something that, we rely on more heavily today than even when I was young. And then my son actually homeschools now. And most of his friends are online, and there's so many things that happen online versus in person. And that's even for us adults too, like Facebook, if you think about that. A lot of our interactions are online versus face-to-face. And it shocked me when I learned that actually soda is now the more popular drink than water, is the more consumed drink in America than water. And so that's really kind of scary. I think we're just in this really fast-paced society that a lot of people are burnt out. They're exhausted at 3:00 in the afternoon. Even kids are having sleep issues. It's just not, at least what I was aware of when I was growing up. So my story, my healthy living story, actually started more about 13 years ago when my son was 1. He's actually going to be turning 14. I can't believe it. And he was showing early signs of autism. He had sorry, I was muting you as you were muting yourself, Michelle. So he was showing early signs of autism, and he wasn't making eye contact. He was on what we call the beige diet. He just did not want anything that wasn't like mac and cheese or pizza, or, he would eat a hard-boiled egg. That was kind of the healthiest thing. He loved fruit to a certain extent. Bananas were his favorite though. But again, it was this monotone diet. And before that, as a baby, he was very colicky. He was really had a lot of skin issues. He had eczema. And later on, I learned, when he was 1, I flew him to a specialist. So I was really scared because it felt like he was slipping away a little bit. And so this doctor had her biochemistry degree, her naturopathic degree, and her doctorate in biochemistry. I said that, naturopathic and MD. So she had 3 doctorates. And she really started educating me about whole foods. I thought we were doing pretty well. We ate the organic, cookie, and we ate a lot of organics and what I thought was whole foods, but it was still pretty processed. And we certainly weren't eating enough fresh, raw fruits and vegetables. And so she said, I would really love to share a product with you and help you learn how to bridge the gap in your diet. So I'll get into that in a little bit, but I want to really talk about what I started to learn more and more about packaged foods and really help you guys. Because just learning this information can make a drastic difference on your health. And so I'm really excited to share with you guys. Okay, so we are definitely living in a time where we have a huge need for focusing on real food. We need to exercise. That's such an important thing, but it's, when we're busy, it's one of the kind of the last things we want to do. Exercise is so important. Actually, one of the largest organs in our body would actually stretch out to be a tennis court full is the endothelium. It's the inner lining of our blood vessels. And when we get our blood flowing past the endothelium, our bodies can make its own medicines. It makes anti-inflammatories, it makes antidepressants, it makes all kinds of regulating hormones. And if we aren't getting our blood flowing, our bodies aren't making that on its own. And so we start, having breakdown, and we have to rely on medications and things like that. So exercise, super important. Drinking enough water. That's actually drinking half your body weight in ounces every day is a good rule of thumb. So at 140 pounds, I need to drink 70 ounces of water a day. And that's just kind of a good, for homeostasis. And then sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. Very, very important, because most of our repair is done when we're sleeping. So we want to just be, ahead of that power curve versus just constantly in breakdown mode. So we are what we eat. I teach this class more interactively in person usually. But, it's definitely something that's important information to get out there. So I'm trying it this way. So usually I have people guess, like, how much do they think is in a small orange soda bottle? How many packets of sugar? And I get, some people, guess high, some people guess low. They're always shocked when I show them that it's actually 22 packets of sugar in this small orange soda, like the size you would get out of a vending machine. And if you want to know kind of like how many, that's, I think it's 75 grams of sugar, which is huge. I mean, as an adult, we should have no more than about 23 grams of added sugar in our diet. And then I could get into the processing of white sugar. It's actually processed 27 times, and one of them is bleaching. And so it really, when we consume processed sugar, it paralyzes our immune system for up to 6 hours. And it's just very, very difficult for our bodies to process. So I'm not saying don't eat sweets, but maybe, sweeten things with more natural sugars like coconut sugar, honey, maple syrup, things like that our bodies can recognize and digest. So I put that goofy thing there, because really what we're eating, our bodies are making cells from. And so if we're not eating healthy things, our bodies are not making healthy cells. I always talk about this. These are some of the first packaged cereals that came out on the market. And don't be fooled by the 80s packaging. I usually have people guess at what decade these came out. So what's interesting to me about this answer is that they came out in the 1950s. And really before that, it was like you would go to the butcher, you would go to the baker, you'd have the family garden in the backyard, but you didn't have a supermarket. You didn't have a place where you could come together and get all of these different things. It was really in this packaging era that became available. And so if you think about it, so another thing that I like to share is it's a study on animals, which I don't really cite for humans very often, but this study was really profound. So I always share this study, because they fed cats packaged foods. And after the third generation, they could no longer reproduce. Not only that, but their disease rates were skyrocketing. And if you think about, these packaged foods were first available in the 1950s. My mom, born in 1948, was the first generation to have it her whole life. And really, it didn't even catch on till later in her life. And then I'm the second. And you look at our infertility rates, our disease rates, right? And now our kids are the third. So that's really scary. And one of the things that they do with packaged foods is they add a lot of sugar. So you can actually get so much sugar in your diet and not even realize it. In fact, back in the turn of the century, the average consumption of sugar was about 4 pounds a year. And now it's it's about 130 to 200 pounds on average per person per year. And that's crazy. That's 3,500 pounds in your lifetime. And sugar has this very addictive cycle. You can kind of Google this stuff I'm not going to just bore you with information here, but it's highly addictive as drugs. It actually excites certain areas of the brain, the same areas that some drugs can as well. So it's a hard habit to break, and it's very devastating to your gut. Actually, I do a gut health talk. If you want any information on that, let the person that invited you know, and they can share that gut health information with you. But what's really sad is that 90% of the food eaten in America today is processed. So we really are on this addictive cycle. One, because of a lot of the added chemicals in our foods, and I'll get into that in a second. But what's sad to me is that we live in a time where our children are harmed by poor diet more than exposure to drugs, alcohol, and tobacco combined. And I say that I'm a mom on a mission, because I heard recently that Dr. David Katz at Yale, who studies nutrition at Yale, said that this is actually the first generation of kids to have a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And I really don't want to accept that statistic. And I think there's a lot we can do to change that. So I'm really excited to share the Nutrition Detectives information with you. Okay, so experts agree that 75% of disease is preventable through good nutrition. So what does that look like? A lot of people actually don't kind of know where to start, right? And I'm a certified health coach for children and families, so I'm all about keeping it simple. So we have an amazing handout, and anyone that invited you tonight can get you this handout. And it's actually just a Word document that has all of these clues listed out. It has some other great information on it. And so it's definitely a great resource. And it's something that I used to take to the grocery store with me because it has a list of the food additives to avoid. And I could just read my labels and really avoid these food additives. So the first clue is to never trust the front of the package. So for my example here is, okay, this looks healthy, right? It's fruit and grain. It's, probably, it looks like it's whole food. The label can say a lot of different things. And then you turn it over to the ingredients part, and that's the most important part to look at. And the first ingredient in that box of fruit and grain bars was sugar. And then we go to our second clue is that the first ingredient is always the biggest. So really that product was mainly sugar. And then the third clue is to really learn to identify the top food additives that are that have harmful ingredients. So I could go into this for days, and I have a very scary list, but I will talk about a couple here. Okay, so hydrogenated oil is 1 molecule away from plastic. It takes 100 days for 1 gram to circulate out of the body. And just so you know, a chicken McNugget has 4 grams. So that's really scary. And this is why they're seeing hardening of the arteries in unborn babies. It's very difficult oil to get out of the body, and it can do a lot of damage. And they actually see this with infertility. They see hydrogenated oil being really directly related to infertility. So this is one of, like, if you learn one thing tonight, is avoid hydrogenated oil as much as possible. And if you find in your pantry, if you go in and you do a pantry raid after this, and you find hydrogenated oil in any of your products that you love, let me know, because I've pretty much found a simple switch for any favorite food out there, because I think we need to have those convenience foods. We need to be realistic. And so I have found some really good companies out there to trust. And I have a list of those companies too, if you'd rather just go, okay, I'm going to throw things out. I'm going to go with the good list, or I'm going to use this up and then I'm going to start fresh. So I have a lot of simple switches. High fructose corn syrup, very, very harmful, super addictive, actually makes you hungrier and makes you gain weight, but it also damages the liver. Artificial colors and sweeteners and flavors, actually, they're actually a food class chemical, and actually MSG are a food class chemical called excitotoxins. They actually go to a particular area of the brain and overexcite it. Also makes it so that food in particular is highly addictive. But they have seen that these excitotoxins lead to MS and Parkinson's because the brain just after a while can't take that overstimulation. And the list goes on. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. I do have a list and links that you can read about these, the additives and what they do. Okay, and then the other clue is to look for a short ingredient list. So this was another cereal bar, has a lot of different ingredients. This is a very processed food. I think about like Laura bars, Kashi bars, and I'm thinking Kind bars. They have actually Kind and Laura bars have maybe 4 ingredients, so they're more of a whole food, if that makes sense. And they're available in most grocery stores. So I love that things are being more widely available. The last thing to look at, and this is all on one, like I said, on one page on the Nutrition Detectives handout. The last thing to look at is the dietary fiber. So the fiber is really important. You want to have this be 2 grams or more. Anything less than 2 grams is going to really gum you up and slow you down and cause digestive issues. And if you can do something, and this actually is in our shakes that I'm going to tell you about in just a second. If you can do something that has soluble and insoluble fiber, you're doing yourself a world of good. So 8 grams of fiber, that's an awesome label. We want to see that. And then soluble fiber actually is something that that dissolves and actually can sop up extra cholesterol and other things in the GI tract and then your body. And then insoluble fiber is something that doesn't dissolve, and it just acts like the toothbrush. It keeps your insides clean. So definitely fiber is your friend. Okay. And then, why am I talking about this? Well, our environment is very toxic nowadays. And again, this is something that's on the increase. And I'm just going to click through all of these slides. And again, I don't like painting scary pictures, but I'm going to get to some good news. So we see that, you know, Parkinson's is on 100% increase, which is scary. You know, there's toxic chemicals in newborn umbilical cord blood. I mean, the list goes on of what we're exposed to, whether that's in our home, in our food. Again, all those food chemicals add to this list. And then when we are constantly toxic, we have no ability to do repair. And so we see kids getting diseases that were, you know, really classified for adults. So type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes because children weren't getting it. And now more and more children are getting it. Again, it's more about just having too many toxins in our bodies and then not being able to do repair. So this is what I love to share with people. The good news, here's the good news side. When our bodies are bombarded by all these toxins, right, where we have these oxidants, they're hitting our bodies 10,000 times a day, our cells are taking these hits. What can actually protect our body are antioxidants. So just kind of like that, the lemon juice would protect this side of the apple from browning. Same thing with our bodies on the inside. We can protect our bodies on the inside and the outside with antioxidants. And really, I love the fact that nature knows what it's doing. A lot of people bridge the gap between what they know they should be eating and what they are eating with a multivitamin. Well, we've only really discovered 13 vitamins. And then there's handfuls of minerals, and then usually like a designer whole food supplement would have some herbs in it as well. And it's food, you know, maybe it's food based from carrots or whatever, but it's the beta carotene taken out, or it's the vitamin C taken out of the food. And what I love to share with people to really this was an aha moment for me, is that an apple has over 10,000 compounds in it. It would take 26 pages like this to list everything. This is the 400 known ingredients. And that's the other thing. We don't know everything that is in Mother Nature. So we only know the 400 ingredients in an apple, but they can see that there are about 10,000 of them. They just haven't been able to isolate and identify what it is exactly. So, you know, a multivitamin, even the best designer whole food multivitamin with maybe 50 ingredients at best, does not match up to Mother Nature that has tens of thousands. And each, you know, fruit or vegetable has its own combination of these 10,000 phytonutrients and antioxidants and other things. So very, very different. It's super important to get whole foods. So one of the things I love is that this, you know, so Juice Plus is what my doctor recommended all those years ago. And this company is such a forward-thinking company. They offer a supplement, but they also offer a way to grow your own fruits and vegetables. I mean, fruits and vegetables are so important. And, you know, I think I've skipped a slide here or something. Usually I have people guess, like, how many fruits and vegetables do you think you're supposed to have every day? The current recommendation is 7, and actually I've heard anywhere from 7 to 13 or 9 to 13 servings a day. And then if you work out and you work out an hour in any 24-hour period, the recommendation is 16 to 18 servings. That's a huge difference between the average consumption of fruit and vegetables is about 2.5 servings a day. So it's a huge difference, 7 to 13 versus 2 that we're getting. And then I say, even if you're doing a great job and you're eating a rainbow and you feel like you're getting a lot of fruits and vegetables, but you're stiff, or you have skin issues, or you have headaches, or you have any signs of toxic load issues, then you still need more. So I love that Juice Plus has a tower garden, and it is an aeroponic growing system. It actually grows 30% more, 30% more yield and 3 times faster than traditional dirt growing, because it's this amazing system that has just ionic earth minerals and water in this base. And then it pumps up and rains down on the roots every 15 minutes, the nutrient solution and water. And so it's perfect food and perfect water. And it's actually amazing here in the desert in Las Vegas. I say I'm a recovering black thumb. The only thing I can keep alive houseplant wise is that pothos there in the back. Because it's a closed system, it uses 90% less water and actually 90% less space because it's vertical. And these are some of my, again, recovering black thumb. You can see my dead pots back here in the corner of the indoor tower picture. But they are amazing. These are some of our gardens that we've grown here in the desert. And I love that this is my son photobombing. So I'll get into his story a little bit more in a second. He homeschools, this has been a fun project for him. So that's his purple cauliflower that he grew. And then you can actually grow indoors as well. So very exciting. So if you do not want to be an urban farmer and get a ton of fruits and vegetables that way, we have an amazing solution. And we actually use this as a family as well. And this is what my doctor recommended all those years ago. So Juice Plus actually makes a capsule that is the essence of 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries. And it's an incredible product. You can get it in capsules or gummy form. We have a plant-based protein shake. Again, that the fiber shot that I showed you with the 8 grams of fiber was this complete protein shake, and it's low glycemic. So it has the same glycemic index as broccoli, so it's not going to spike your blood sugar. I use it as a like if I'm like hankering for chocolate, I will take a chocolate shake before bed, and then I'm not having that insulin spike right before bed. It's vegan and non-GMO, gluten-free, dairy-free, plant-based protein. So it's an anti-inflammatory protein. It's also a powerful prebiotic, and that's really important. Actually, our capsules have probiotics in them. And with the oligosaccharides in the complete shake from Jerusalem artichoke and fructooligosaccharides, it's a powerful combination, because this is a food for our beneficial bacteria in our gut. So it's a very good combination. And if you do them in combination, you're actually getting 45 different plants in your diet every single day. And that's a huge difference than the 2.5 that we as Americans are typically consuming. So it's very exciting. This is what I call our insurance policy for my family. If we're busy, I know we've got this baseline. We still try to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, but I know this is bridging the gap. So for my son, we added it to his baby food. We opened the capsules into his baby food. And within a few months, he started making more eye contact. He reached for a tomato. I about fell on the floor when he reached for a tomato and ate the whole thing. And that the texture would have creeped him out in the days gone by or past. And it was like it's like a light switch went back on in his little body. And he started, eating better, and he started being more interactive. And it was really, really exciting. And I actually started taking it alongside of him. And I didn't realize, as a busy mom, you kind of put yourself on the back burner. I had cystic acne. I was overweight. I was on 2 medications for migraines. And within the next several months, all of those things cleared up. And with my next 2 pregnancies, I didn't gain the excess weight that I did with him. I had terrible preeclampsia with him. And with my girls, I had no swelling at all. And I was back into my pre-pregnancy dreams right away. So I know that the nutrition was super powerful and has been definitely carrying me through a lot of things. I've moved cross country. I travel all the time. I'm super active. I feel better today at 40 than I did in my 20s. So I just feel so blessed by this nutrition. So again, it's 45 different whole foods. If you do the combination of everything, it has a food label. It's like buying a bag of spinach. You'll see a nutrition facts label versus the supplement facts label that you'll see on vitamins. It has all of those tens of thousands of phytonutrients that are individual to each one of these 30 different fruits, veggies, and berries. It's non-GMO, dairy-free, and gluten-free. It's NSF certified. This is a big deal. This is a company that comes in and randomly pulls batches of Juice Plus and tests it for things like pesticides, heavy metals, molds, bacteria. The list goes on to make sure that it's a pure product. And actually only 1% of supplements and powders and things like that will pass NSF. So that's very, very exciting. If you do any other supplements, you always want to look for NSF testing. And then clinical research was a big deal for me. So it's actually over 36 published studies now. And these are all done by major universities, amazing colleges like Yale, Vanderbilt, King's College, MD Anderson Cancer Research Center. The list goes on, and lots of amazing findings. And most of these studies have 18 studies show that Juice Plus gets into the body. Not only does it get into the bloodstream, but it gets into the cell and does work in the cell. It also improves cardiovascular wellness, supports the immune system. This is an exciting study because it actually clinically balances the immune system within 80 days. And that's huge because autoimmune issues are way on the rise. So if you can balance the immune system, you give that balance back to the immune system and it stops attacking the body. So that's really exciting for kids and adults with autoimmune issues. Improves gum tissue. I have 2 dentists on my team because of this study. My mom's had periodontal issues, and after taking Juice Plus, they went away, and that was kind of a miraculous change for her dentist. And so I got to go speak to her staff and they were very impressed with the study. It actually reduces oxidative stress. That's huge and close to my heart because kids on the spectrum, they show that they have an overwhelmingly large amount of oxidative stress, and Juice Plus reduces the oxidative stress by 75%. So that's huge. Just that one study alone is huge. My son now, he has sensory processing issues, but really, you know what? I honestly want to get him reassessed because he's a normal kid, and I can't help but to think what it would have been like if we hadn't learned this information all those years ago. I feel like his health picture would have been a lot different. It also reduces whole body systemic inflammation, protects DNA, healthier skin. They have an amazing skin health study with increased microderm circulation by 39%. So more nutrients to the surface of the skin, greater skin thickness, hydration, and more elasticity and more. They've looked at it in childhood obesity and insulin utilization and resistance. That was an incredible study. Really helped this group of kids with pre-diabetic conditions go back into normal ranges. Quality of life in cancer survivors. They've even looked at it in smokers, that it combats the oxidative stress due to smoking. Okay, and then I love that this is really important information. Again, this kind of yo-yo. I used to be a yo-yo dieter. I had excess weight that it was kind of stubborn. I'm going to show you a picture of me in my 20s. It's really embarrassing. But I was constantly doing this yo-yo diet thing. So really, when I learned this, I got really excited. Our body, its job is to hold on to excess fat to protect the vital organs from toxins. So when we have all of these toxins and impurities in our body, and then we yo-yo, we starve ourselves or we exercise a lot, as soon as we stop doing that, we've got the rebound and then some, right? Well, if we can just gently detox, and that's not starving ourselves, that's not over-exercising, it's just getting enough plant nutrients, our body has no rebound. It has no reason for that excess fat. And I saw that in myself with my own Juice Plus story. And this is me in my 20s. This is me before kids. This is actually my little brother right here. I was just puffy. I was uncomfortable a lot of the time. I really had crazy food cravings and kind of up and down in my mood all the time. I had what they call it SADS, like seasonal affliction disorder, but it was just all over the place. So I feel so blessed, again, to have learned a lot of this information about 13 years ago. And one of the last thing I want to share with you guys really is that I love learning that breakfast is so important, and that we can actually, some people will say, well, I've tried dieting and I just can't do it. Really it's all about you being in your zone of willpower. So if you start out and you don't eat breakfast and you walk out the door and you just had coffee or something like that, by the time you realize you're hungry, you are way down here, way beyond the zone of willpower, because you've had or maybe you start down here. Actually, we're really low blood sugar when we wake up, and we don't realize that. And we've burned through all of our amino acids doing repair at night. So we need to have protein and carbs first thing in the morning. And if we don't do that, like I said, run out the door with coffee, by the time we realize we're hungry, and we see a donut, our body says, eat that donut or you're going to die. And so you're not in that zone of willpower. But if you can do something like start out with a shake that has amazing slow releasing carbs and protein first thing in the morning, you will feel satisfied and make better food choices all throughout the day. So it's really about staying in that zone of willpower. And I just really want to invite you guys tonight. I really appreciate your time, and I hope that you've learned something. And I really want to invite you guys to be part of our Healthy Living community. We have an amazing Facebook group. We do One Simple Changes together. We share recipes, we share ideas. You can go there for support. You can go get this an amazing actual whole food cookbook there. We also have this Healthy Living Ambassador Guide for kids. I love that. And I really just invite you to take advantage of those free resources. In fact, speaking of kids, we have Children's Health Study. If you order the Juice Plus capsules for yourself or the gummies as an adult, you can sponsor a child to get the capsules or gummies for free. And that's for up to 4 years if your child is between the ages of 4 and 18, and even full-time undergraduate students. And you can sponsor a neighbor or a relative, or it doesn't have to be necessarily a relative. It just has to be a child that you can get that free product to. So it's an incredible, incredible study. And they've seen things like they're eating less fast food, they're taking less prescription drugs, they're drinking more water, they're missing less school, fewer sick days, things like that. Okay, so Juice Plus, just so you know, so you're like, okay, this sounds awesome. How much is it? Juice Plus is so affordable, and that's one of my favorite parts about Juice Plus. I actually bought an organic peach in season where it was grown one year just to see how much one peach would be, and it was $2.50 for that one peach. So for $2.38 a day, you can get 30 different fruits, vegetables, and berries in your body every single day. And I love that. And again, I didn't really talk about how it's processed, but it's grown to the peak of ripeness. It's juiced and frozen that same day. And then it goes into the encapsulation facility where it's dried within seconds from that frozen juice to powders. And then through that process, actually the sugar and the salt is naturally filtered out. And so even diabetics can take this. So a lot of people go, oh, juice, that's too high in sugar. There's very little sugar content in our capsules. And so that's very exciting for people that are sugar sensitive or have diabetic issues. So, and then our shakes are $2 a shake. So it's a very affordable shake. And our Shred 10, I didn't talk about this very much, but we have a Shred 10 program that is really just following some rules. You can get into a more specific group with a lot of support, and you do a whole food diet for 10 days, and you do the trio and 2 shakes a day. And for 10 days with this group. And they've seen this be an incredible gut reset. And there is, again, a lot of support within the Shred 10 group. So just to give you a heads up on that, if you want more information, we have some information on that we can send you. Okay, again, we just really want to invite you to be a part of our community. If you go away from this presentation and you're eating more fruits and vegetables, then I'm happy. I'm a mom on a mission just to teach people the importance of fruits and vegetables. If Juice Plus makes sense to you, great. Whoever invited you can help you get started, and we're really happy to welcome you into our healthy living community. And I just want to thank you for your time. I'm going to stop my share and stop the recording and take questions.